All right, guys, Bid Nerds is live tonight. We are asking the question that no one is asking, with World War III looming at greater than 0% chance that that's going to happen in Eastern Europe. What will happen to your Bring a Trailer car auction? This is Bid Nerds. We're going to make some predictions. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show. Right, hello guys, welcome to a brand new episode of Bid Nerds. My name is John Polnick and we are coming to you live from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas, as well as my partner Michael Deeb, way over there on the left side of the screen. He is in San Francisco. What's going on, Michael Deeb?
We have a guest in studio. JP, I am so excited to meet this individual. Please give him a warm welcome in the Nerd Herd because you're going to love this guy. I already do. JP, who do we have?
Are you taking over? This is Antoine Webb. What's going on, Antoine?
What's up, Antoine? Thank you.
Super happy to be here today with you, and love what you guys are doing with the show, and hopefully we can make some wild out of the park predictions here.
All right, he's getting into it. He knows what's going on already. Like, I can tell that his gears are turning the way that they're supposed to. Welcome as the third nerd guest tonight. All right, tonight we have a big topic to kind of dive into, but I want to shout out to all our friends in the Nerd Herd who are hanging out, watching us live. Thank you, you guys. We love you, and thanks for joining us live. Antoine, we have the best fans. We got the best fans. They hang out. They come out every Sunday and Wednesday night at 6:30, and they hang out with us, and they listen to me ramble. And if you want the information, if you want the real scoop, get into the Nerd Herd there in the live chat. That's where the real information happens. Tonight's
where it goes down.
Right? Exactly. So tonight look, if you're new to the channel, thanks for joining us. Make sure you hit the subscribe, like, notification button, all that kind of fun stuff. But what we do on this channel, if you are new, is we analyze listings on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, sometimes P-Car Market, and other channels. We talk about the listings, we talk about the cars, we give our opinions, and then we make a prediction. We'll tell you what we think is going to happen at Hammer at the end of those particular auctions. That said, tonight, we like to have kind of a theme for every episode, and I don't know if you're watching the news wherever you get your news from, I don't know, television like the dinosaurs do, or X, or wherever you get your news, all anyone's talking about is all the craziness going on in Eastern Europe, and we're going to let other YouTube channels discuss the why and how and the politics of all that. That's not what this show is about. What we are interested in, and it sounds pretty terrible when we're talking about war, we're going to talk about what's it going to do to car prices, particularly classic and collector cars on Bring a Trailer and other auction sites. So we're going to go over the predictions that we made on the last episode, which is what we always do at the beginning of the show, and then we'll get into that subject a little bit more when we get into predictions. So, Michael Deeb, you excited about tonight?
I am very excited about tonight. Let's get after it, JP.
Let's do it. All right, I'm looking.
By the way, JP, we should remind our audience that if we are going to go to war in a couple of months or a year from now, or tonight, now would be the time to call the Bid Nerds to sell your car, right?
Yeah, right. Oh, that is a good point. That is something that we we do need to mention. That is what we do on this show. Look, if you are considering selling your car, that is something
shameless
that we
plug.
do. Yeah, exactly. It's not so shameless. It's just look, Bid Nerds. A happy ending for every auction. If you have a classic car or collectible and you don't want to deal with the hassle of listing it on Bring a Trailer or Cars and Bids, let the Bid Nerds do it for you. Give us a holler. Go to the website bidnerds.biz or reach out to us on Instagram. Okay, let's get to the show. Let's get to the predictions that we made on the last episode. What was the first car on the list, Michael Deeb? I kind of teased it already.
JP, we kicked off the show last time with this 2001 Ferrari 360 Modena with a 6-speed manual gated shifter. Our car is showing just 15,000 miles as an alumni listing at a Pebble Beach, California on Bring a Trailer. JP, this car had previously sold in June of 2018 on Bring a Trailer. And I want to say, for context, anything pre-COVID was really Bring a Trailer in its infancy. So that result 7 years ago, where the car was bid to $88,000 and failed to sell, the car was showing just 12,000 miles at the time. But this is really kind of before COVID. And I sort of credit JP. I don't know if you agree with me on this, but when we look back on 2020, I feel like that was the moment when the mass adoption of buying a car sight unseen on a live auction, such as Bring a Trailer or Doug DeMiro's Cars and Bids or P-Car Market and any of the litany of other ones that have followed since. I feel like that was the watershed moment. So results prior to that, I don't think really tell us much about the car or the market for them at that time. This car has come to market, JP. It's a nice color, but even just 15,000 miles, this car has been traded a few times and as such has had a few owners on its history and a few nicks in the bumper. And JP, while you laughed at me when I suggested that this car already had a patina at just 15,000 miles, I have to remind you, my partner, that the Ferrari market is even more finicky than the Porsche 911 market. And as such, I don't think this car would necessarily find a massive retail number despite having a gated manual and a low odometer. JP, with all of that happy horse stuff in mind, our friends at cars.com, classic.com tell us that the average selling price of a 360 Modena in the secondary market with a gated manual is still just $114,000. JP, I thought this car should at least get to $136,000. John, you took the over. Your bid, $136,360. And Antoine, we're going to throw you to the fire. Bright yellow, several previous owners, gated manual, and a tiny few little nicks and scuffs. JP would say that it's perfect. Or not perfect. JP wouldn't say it's perfect, but he wouldn't say that it has a patina. I'm just saying for the Ferrari crowd, this car was a little rough. So it's on the best auction platform in the world. John reminds us that the news out there is crazy. What do you think this car would have hammered for on BAT just a couple of days ago? Again, gated manual Ferrari with low miles.
120s. I say
120?
under 130s.
Okay, give me an
right
actual
into that
number.
microphone. Right into that microphone.
I would say 120s under 130s.
Give me an actual number though. Put a number to it. Doesn't matter.
Let's say 119.
119. All right, so he's at 119. JP taking attack much far under us, but not really out of the realm because our car hammered in between me and Antoine's bid. Our hammer, JP, was $130,000 even where it sold on 35 bids. So JP, at 130,000, it's a little lighter than what you and I thought, but the car sold and it got good action. Is that the retail number for that car? Because I feel like we've been seeing all kinds of gated manuals, 355s, and good hell, Lord, an F430 with a gated manual is now over 200 grand. Are these still the best deal for a gated manual in the Ferrari realm? Is 130,000 a retail number for a sub 20,000 mile car? Because that seems like a screaming deal to me. Where are you at on that number?
It does seem like a deal. I mean, a 430 with a manual transmission is going to go probably for twice as much. This particular car, I know that you like to say that the Ferrari crowd is all persnickety, but I think it's the neo Ferrari crowd, the kids that are out there buying these. Like if you're a boomer or you're someone that hangs out on Ferrari chat all the time, yeah, they're going to clutch their pearls when they see a rock chip. But the new kids, the young timers that are out there looking for cars like this and want that three-pedal experience, this is the car to get because that's still like $15,000-$20,000 higher than the classic.com number. So yeah, I think that's a good number. I think it was well bought. It'll be interesting to see what the values do in the future on these as the 430s, being the last car with a manual from the factory, continue to go up and up and up. I think that tide will raise the value of these. What do you think of that result, Antoine? And good job on your first shot.
Well, if I would have heard it was a gated manual, then that would have changed things a little bit. I'm like, a couple things and dangs. Okay. But yeah, that totally makes sense. Gated manual, that's fun factor all day. A little bit of rims and a body kit, buddy. I'm in there. I'm taking her. Thank you.
All right, Antoine's in. All right. What do you? Go ahead, Deep.
Burnt oil, according to Randy, our statistician, burnt oil was the closest in the herd. He was at $132,000. So send him a sticker. There you go.
Nice job out there. Okay, so that's a pretty good result. What do you guys think of the results of this, let's see, your Ferrari 360? Let us know in the comments. And what's the next car that we made a prediction on the last episode? Deep.
All right, JP, I have to credit you with helping me to figure out my bid on this 1972 Chevrolet K5 Blazer because according to Doug DeMiro, out of his lips, and all the folks at Cars and Bids, this is a restored example and not a modified one. And yet, JP, I don't know bro dozers very well at all. I did not grow up on a lake like you did up there in the Pacific Northwest. You and your Uncle Bigfoot, I'm sure, rolled around in a truck just like this. But JP, when I looked at this, to me, it seemed more of a resto mod, and you clarified for us that this, although several of the additions to this Blazer are in fact period correct, it wasn't born this way by Chevy. So I took umbrage with Cars and Bids for not really describing this car authentically. That being said, I think we can agree, JP, we all liked the vehicle that is on the pages. I just don't think that Cars and Bids, the platform, did the seller any favors by misrepresenting the way that the car has had money spent on it and the way it's been refurbished. It's been refurbished liberally and not restored. Restored is restoring it back to originality. Come on, guys. The words and the English are important. All right, John, enough with my tirade. According to our friends at Classic.com, the average selling price of a restored K5 Blazer is $74,000. But believe it or not, JP, Classic has a column just for the modified K5 Blazers, and that number is closer to $114,000. JP, my bid was 65 grand because, again, I still liked the vehicle that is presented here. A lot of money has been spent, and it sure looks like a lot of fun, although I don't understand how side pipes work on an off-road vehicle. Somebody have to explain that to me in the comments. JP, you took the under, which really surprised me. Your bid, just $45,000. So, Antoine, again, right back to the fire with you, my brother. Shoot. What do you think this vehicle would do? Now, I got to give you one little qualifier. Cars and Bids has just started selling vintage cars rather than their bread and butter has been lease returns for the last 5 years. So now Doug DeMiro is selling vintage cars. This is clearly a vintage car. What do you think this vintage resto-modded Blazer would have hammered for on Cars and Bids?
I'm good.
He's crinkling the nose. What does that mean?
I'm gonna give it a solid 85.
85.
Solid 85.
Wow.
That's all right, man. That is all right. 85 would have put it really, I think, where the value of that vehicle should be because, again, it's not restored. It is modded to a degree. But you couldn't have gotten closer to me, Antoine. This car hammered for $65,000, but it failed to sell at that number, JP, on just 22 bids. So, John, 65 grand. I got a Yahtzee, but you helped me. Yeah, exactly. You helped me for that. It's still available, but not for 65 grand. So, John, the obvious question as we start to look at vintage cars and Cars and Bids, at 65 grand, is that all the money for the vehicle that's here? Or do we think that the true value of this vehicle is more in line with Anton's bid at $85,000, JP, or perhaps above? But the only way that this seller could have found that number was to go to the larger platform that is notorious for selling vintage cars, something like Bring a Trailer. So, JP, was it the truck, or was it the platform, or was it something else?
Yeah, this is definitely a platform problem. I do think the vehicle, I think, again, Antoine's number is, if this thing were on BaT, it would have gotten $85,000. Yep. But that would have failed to sell as well, because if you look at the comments below after the sale, it turns out that the selling dealer has this thing listed now for $155,000, which the back of this thing has to be full of crack, like bags and bags and bags of crack. That's the only way they're getting that kind of money for this thing. It is a really cool truck. And look, I want to say this right now. Even though the mods aren't exactly the mods that I would choose, and I know, Deeb, you're really leaning on the language and the vocabulary. Oh, this is a modded, not a restored. I think a lot of the people that look at something like this, they don't really care about that distinction. They're just looking at the truck and going, is it the truck that I want or not? And the fact is, you could build this for 150 grand, right? It's not like Porsche tax. You could go out and find a K5 and make a really nice one, probably with like an LS3 and all kinds of, much more badass stuff than this particular powertrain. I don't think this thing's worth anywhere near 155. But if it were on a different platform, it would have done better. The thing I did want to say is nothing General Motors makes right now, whether it's Cadillac, Chevrolet, I don't know what brands GM still has these days, but they don't make anything that's this cool right now. There's nothing in any GM Motors showroom anywhere in the world that has something brand new that's as cool as this. General Motors needs to figure their ish out and start making cool stuff like this again. When Ford redesigned the Bronco and made it look like their old one, what did General Motors do when they came out with a new Blazer? They made it look like, it looked like a CRV more than an off-road truck. So, Anthony, what do you think of the result? Or Antoine. Sorry, we have a really good friend in the nerd herd named Anthony, so I'm going to probably make that mistake all night, Antoine. I apologize.
Anthony, Antoine, Antonio. I hear it all.
What do you think of the result?
Oh, that's well. Just hearing the ending at 155 is absolutely insane.
Yeah,
I could I could find a lot of other things to spend 155 grand on.
Right.
Yeah. Word.
I think that I think I could see someone paying the 70s for that. You find the right person, right? That's the right impulse buy. But yeah, I'm surprised to see that it didn't go in the 60s on the platform that it was, because I agree. I think that on a different platform, it would go.
Yeah. Antoine, how badass would this be if it did have an LS3? You could put a decent air conditioning unit in it and cruise this down the strip. That would be awesome. All right, Deeb, last word, and then let's move on.
Yeah, JP, with a 350, there's no way this car is worth more than 100 grand. And you took the words right out of my mouth. If this had a supercharged LS3, then you could start talking about six figures because you couldn't replicate it for the money. But at 150 grand, this guy's trying to make money on his build. You're not that special, bro. Sorry, pass.
Not happening. All right, what's the next car on the list, and what do you guys think of the results of that K5 Blazer? Was that Doug DeMuro's fault, or is it just the time for these K5s and these old boomer rigs? Is it over? Let us know in the comments. And what's the next car we got on the list, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, we are going to circle back really quickly to the 2016 Porsche Panamera GTS America Edition, showing just 47,000 miles out of Garden City, Idaho. This car was brought to us by Randy. Thank you, Randy, for submitting this car to us. The car looks stunning in these photos, and the car has been expertly clean, as Randy knows the owner of this car personally. JP, despite you and I apparently not loving on this car enough, we still thought that this car had a chance to make it into the high 40,000 range and potentially go above that because of the condition and the miles. We just don't see Panamera GTSs in the secondary market that are the equal to the caliber of this vehicle. So JP, our friends at classic.com tell us that the average selling price of a Panamera GTS is $48,000. John, I went with that bid, 48 as mine. You took the under just below me at $45,000. Antoine, any love for the Panamera, the first-gen Panamera in GTS spec in crazy Type A, oh my God, keep it clean. You know what I'm saying?
If I could tell you, I wanted one of these. I really did. There was a time. I think you were at 45. You were a little under. I'm gonna go for 40. I'm gonna go
40.
Under. I'm just curious to see where it ends up.
Antoine taking the conservative tack. JP, we all ate crow on this one. Our car hammered for $50,000 where it sold on 35 bids. JP, good action, good result. Top of the market for a car that is soft, a model that is soft in the secondary market. Randy reports in the comments earlier tonight that his friend and colleague is happy with that result. There you go,
good,
JP.
Good. Yeah, look, the seller was smart. I think I wish we would have paid a little bit more attention to this car when we were talking about it on our prediction. It is a beautiful, perfectly preserved version of one of these. And I don't know, every time I see one of these, I think that the seller is just going to be crazy because they're so expensive brand new. What was this, 150 grand new? And
140,
unfortunately, there's nothing that depreciates worse than a luxury sedan. And a lot of times the people that buy these, they think they're going to be, because they're used to Porsches holding their value. You go buy a 911, it holds its value. You buy a GT3, it holds its value. And then you go buy a Porsche Panamera and you expect it to hold its value like the other Porsches, and it doesn't. It spirals down just like any other, Audi or BMW or whatever four-door thing. It's going to lose value. So kudos to the seller being reasonable and having reasonable expectations. 50 grand is all the money for the car, and they did great. And somebody got the nicest version of one of these guys. When they're nice, they are great. They just terrify me because they're so scary.
Even the bid nerds would be proud. Immaculate presentation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, great listing. All right, guys, let's move on. What do you think of the results of that Panamera? What's the next car on the list? Michael Deeb.
All right, JP, go ahead and reach for a tissue because this result is going to make you cry. This is like cutting onions in the Polnick household. JP selected a 2018 Porsche Macan GTS running no reserve on Bring a Trailer out of Anaheim, California, showing 73,000 miles. That is basically a twin to a car that John currently has a very firm grip on, and even firmer after we get to this result. JP, this is a one-owner car. It looked to be in very good condition. We check in with our friends at classic.com, and they tell us shockingly that the secondary market value for this car is also $48,000, just like the Porsche Panamera GTS. Yeah. JP, despite this car having fair miles, running no reserve, and being one owner, I still thought this car would not make it to 40 grand. JP, my bid, just $38,000. You told me on air that you thought my bid was high, and your bid came in at just $32,000, which actually kind of surprised me. So, Antoine, any love for the Macan GTS? And I'm sorry we're boring you with lease returns. I promise you tonight's cars are going to be way more fun than these SUVs. But what do you think of a used Macan GTS in SoCal?
I don't know. Whoever was on the last show, I'm gonna have to go look and find out. But you really put those guys through the ringer, you know. This is hard. I mean, sheesh. If you could find one of those for 40s, you know, I wouldn't be surprised. I would assume. I mean, I know you guys are going a little low, but I would assume like 42s in that area.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with 42.
42 is Antoine's. 42 is Antoine's bid, and check it out, JP.
Hold on, wait. Before we get to the result, I just want to say, Antoine, sold. Here's the key to one. Exactly. You can have it.
That's so mean. That's so mean. Dana should not have to be driven home in a Macan GTS. It smells like
Hey, it's not a terrible car. They're just worthless. That's all.
Welcome, JP.
JP, our car hammered for just $27,911. And if that wasn't bad news, the news gets worse. It sold for that low number on 33 bids. So, JP, I think you should go put an exhaust on your car because you're going to have it for a while.
JP, I've got rims I can donate
is
here.
Stunning to me, JP.
For you.
The fact that this car did not break 30 and that it sold for that number is just a head scratcher to me. I am shocked. I knew Macans were soft, but damn, dude. JP, were you surprised at 27,911 that thing sold?
I'm not. They're just a soft ride. Look, it's a great car. It's absolutely fantastic. If you had to have just like one car, this thing does everything. It handles great. It's pretty darn fast. Has room for all kinds of stuff. It's not too big. It's not too small. It really is a great all-around little crossover. It says Porsche, and it does all the things that you expect a Porsche to do, and it looks nice too. It surprises me how many compliments I get on it because every time I get in and I drive it somewhere, like a nice Porsche, I'm just like, this is a CRV. What are you talking about?
You gotta see my other one.
Yeah, but at 27 grand, I mean, the good news for me, I'm not upside down on it, right? I'm like, okay, all right, but that's pretty weak sauce. Everybody in the nerd herd says that that's a steal, so that's good news. Hopefully, I would think that it should be mid 30s. I don't think anybody's getting $40,000 for a 70-something thousand mile GTS. If it had 20 or 30 or 40,000 miles, then absolutely. But this is kind of high miles, right?
I got a question for you, JP.
They are maintenance intensive, yeah.
Do you think this car would have brought more money on Cars and Bids?
That's a good question. I think if anywhere that it was going to bring more, I think it could have been there because the Cars and Bids buyer is a much more kind of run-of-the-mill, kind of normal car. They're more normies on Cars and Bids, whereas the people on BaT are much more enthusiast-driven, classic car-driven. And I know that Cars and Bids is trying to get into the classic stuff now too, but it's going to be a while before really people think Cars and Bids when they think classic car. All right, let's move on to some predictions because that's really what we do on this show. Let's take a quick break. We will be right back right after this. 30 seconds, guys. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. All right, we are back. Antoine is getting a beverage. Take your time, no worries, man. Look, it might be the end of the world, so just take your time getting a beverage. The missiles could be inbound right now, unfortunately. I hate to say that. That is a terrible joke, but let's see here. I'm trying to get the thing set up. All right, look. Tonight's big subject, we were talking about it, we teased it at the opening of the show. There is a greater than 0% chance that World War III could start tomorrow. We're not going to talk about the politics. We're not going to talk about the wheres and the whys. We'll let other YouTube channels talk about that stuff. But look, if you're trying to sell a car and you have one listed on Bring a Trailer and it's going to close this week, do you really want your car closing on the same day that all over CNN or Fox News or X or wherever you get your news, is just pictures of bombs blowing up in places that you don't want to blow up? There's nothing that could kill an auction worse than that. And I know that that type of scenario, there's much worse things than your auction failing. But let's be honest, it's something to think about. If you've got a car listed, you got to be on pins and needles. Let's talk about some predictions. What's the first car on the list? Michael Deeb, this one's a doozy. What do we got?
All right, JP, check it out. Our hero car tonight is a 2015 Porsche 918 Spyder, but it gets better from there. Our car is equipped from the factory with the Weissach package, and as of this listing, our car, which is listed as a premium listing on Bring a Trailer out of Atlanta, Georgia, by the professionals at Merit Partners. And JP, all the cars that Merit Partners sell, they're all bangers. You know what I'm saying? This car, JP, has just 180 miles documented from new. So number 732 of 918 examples built for the world. This, JP, just feast your eyes on this. This is about as good as it gets. Onyx white paint matched with a color I've never even heard of with Porsche. Mocha leather upholstery. JP, I would only describe it as the duty brown of car interiors, because that brown is very chocolatey. JP, I dig the brown on the white, but I would have opted for espresso interior, which is a little more run-of-the-mill with Porsche, but I like that slightly darker brown shade than this. That being said, JP, I would not kick this car out of bed for eating cookies. You feel me? This car looks insane. And the only heartbreaking part of this is that with 180 miles on the odometer and the car already being 10 years old and essentially going to sell for 3+X over its original sticker price, this car is destined, JP, to wind up in a collection or a museum and just, unfortunately, never get driven. And any car that was equipped with the Weissach package, you should be taking it out to Spring Mountain or Thermal and just wringing its damn neck. JP, I want to dare to turn off all the electric, goodads and run this car with no guardian angels and scare myself. You know what I mean? This thing looks absolutely insane. I'm surprised, JP, as I'm perusing. These photos are beautifully shot. But did you notice, John, after you look at that first, whatever it is, 25 photos, there are only 55 additional photos in the bucket. And JP, I know they paid a real photographer, but man, you got to have numbers. You got to answer all the questions. I'm just saying professionally, I don't think they did enough. These shots are great, but then you got to give me the meat and potatoes to go with it. This is dessert. This is the icing. This is a fine wine. But where's the starch? Where's the protein? There's not enough images here, and these there's.
What are you talking about? I'm seriously, what are you talking about? This car has how many miles? 180 miles? Not 180,000.
Just telling you, JP.
But 180. You want to know what one looks like? Search 918 on the internet and you can find a gajillion pictures. It's a brand new car. There's nothing. What do you want to see? There's plenty of documentation about this car. Who cares? Look, here's the thing. We're about to start World War III maybe, and this car with so few miles, a bad person's going to buy this car, right? Because you're just a bad person if you buy this thing and don't drive it. And in a time of war, you've got war profiteers. And can you think of anyone who's worse than a war profiteer? The war profiteers billionaires who are sitting there, in the oligarchs that are in their yacht somewhere. They're, I don't know, the CEO of some military industrial complex, and they're going, look, I am going to sell 10,000 cruise missiles this quarter. I can buy these I can cover the entire surface area of my mega yacht with 918s like this. Has 900 or 100 miles on it. Who cares? This car is going to go for all the money. It's already right now, with how many days to go? 2 or 3 days left on the auction. Mm-hmm. It's already bid. It's the third highest bid Porsche of all time on BaT, and it still has a couple of days to go. Oh, wow. Antoine, what do you think of this amazing car? Danny would look pretty good in this thing. I think you should buy it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Dan, remember we were shopping for one of these? It was insane. It was insane. I saw the clock, all right, in the dash. So I know it's there.
Well, we're not at numbers yet, so all I want is your
good.
opinion. What do you think of this car? What does this car mean to you? And do you think, who's the buyer for this thing? Do you think?
Man, if I could talk to the buyer of this thing just for 30 minutes, I think I'd be able to probably add another $2 million a year to my bottom line.
Oh, he just wants to sell okay. He's like, I can make money off of war profiteer.
If I could just talk to this guy for a little bit, just to find out a little bit of what he knows, I might be in a better position.
Good point.
But what a beautiful example of a vehicle. I mean, that's a machine, right? Yeah. Like there's no doubt about it. Even trying to think about the numbers, like if you're not privy to the marketplace of that, you take someone off the street and show them that car, like who knows what they're going to tell you? They're not even going to know of a number to tell you. Yeah.
So, this is beyond supercar. This is hypercar, and it's a hyper car. Michael Deeb, what's this thing going to bring?
All right, JP, it is worth noting that our friends at Classic.com tell us that the average selling price of a Porsche 918 Spyder in the secondary market is only $1.9 million. John, our hero car is currently bid up to $2,300,918. Our car is a premium listing, which means it's run for like 10 or 11 days. It's got 2 days to go until it closes. That 2.3 comes to us by way of 11 bids. John, if we look at our friends at Classic.com, they also show that Merit Partners previously listed this car as a classified ad on their website with a published asking price of $2,995,990 as of May 22nd, 2025. I think, JP, and we can get into this another time. We don't have to dissect it now. Mm-hmm. I think it's a huge miss for these brick and mortar places to put an asking price, and then if they don't get it, go to market. If you're going to list it in the asking price, it's got to be a call in to get the number. I don't understand why they're publishing an asking price for this car. That being said, JP, before I knew that Merit Partners had it listed for $2,995,900, my bid, which I will stick to, is still $2,918,000 even. So JP, 2.9 basically across to you. Where are you at on this?
Man, that sucks because that was literally going to be my bid. I do think it's going to get more because look, I know that generally that's a bad idea to list the car with a price and then bring it to auction. It's better to do it the other way around. But I think this is one of those cars that it's just like the person that wants this, oddly enough, is just like, oh, yeah, okay, I didn't know this was for sale. So the person that wants this isn't there are people that are looking for these, right? And they know of every single one that comes to market. But I think the person that's going to buy it at this auction is going to be like, oh, sweet. Finally, one of these has come up. They're not shopping around. It's just like, it's like you're at the shopping, what do you call it? The supermarket counter. And you're like, oh, People Magazine has Taylor Swift on it. I'm going to get that right now because I want that picture. It's a point of purchase sale to someone who's rich enough to get one of these. I'll go ahead and say $3,918,000 and hand it off to Antoine. What do you think this is going to bring back?
I was hoping you were going to go a little bit under, so I can get that spot.
I see how you are.
It's like, before when we were talking, I'm like, I know it's going for like $3 million. Yeah. 3 to 5. No, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go 3.2.
3.2.
Let's see what she does. We're in wartime, baby. Supplies are limited.
Look, we're about to mint a whole bunch of new Palmer Luckies. The guy who what's Anduril or something like that, the latest military industrial company. I think that there's going to be some people with a lot of money coming out right now.
JP,
very soon.
JP, give me your bid again because I'm sure I wrote it down wrong.
$3,918,000. So that's $3 million with $918 additional dollars on top of that. I'm $918 above Chris Carbine. How you doing, Chris, at Carbine Motor Cars down there in New Orleans? Check him out if you're looking for cool cars. He's always got a great inventory. Listen, let's. I am excited about this car, but I think I might be more excited about the next car because I think this next car. Did we pick this one for our guest? Is that what we did?
Yes, we are pandering to our third nerd guest host. Anton, check it out. Feast your eyes on this 2023 BMW M4 Coupe with a 6-speed manual. Our 23 M4 has just 5,000 miles on it from new. Our car is listed on Bring a Trailer. It's down there in Frisco, Texas. It's low miles, and it's just the basic version of the Coupe. This isn't one of the CSLs or any of those other fancy special editions. White with red interior. This car would roll up really nice, laid out next to Dana's new Macan GTS that you bought her while you were on the show tonight.
There's the keys right here. You're driving home. Don't drink too much.
You and Dana could leave the container park twinning all the way home. So, JP, I'm going to let you and Anton describe this car in greater detail since I think Antoine used to have one and probably knows them better than me. Antoine, I know that the performance had you, but please tell me you don't approve of that grill.
Okay, so I will say this. They got my money. Okay,
they did.
However, I changed that grill, and that was the first thing I did.
Nice.
So yeah, I do agree. I don't approve of the window blinds, but I think that there are better alternatives to go in there. So I actually still have my M4 competition. So
gotcha.
I have a completely show car.
Nice.
I mean, everything carbon fiber, inside, outside, rims, lowered, body kits. There's not a piece that I haven't really touched to that car. So I'll be honest with you. This is manual. So rear wheel drive manual and base model, non-competition.
Yep.
Correct. All right. I'm how many miles?
5,000, but we're not bidding just yet. JP, what do you think of this car?
Yeah, don't worry. Think about a number. Let's look. This is for the guy who has stock in Anduril, and is about to get rich on war profiteering here. This car, I mean, somewhere Chris Bangle's going. Do you guys miss me yet?
Too soon.
This car is just so goddamn ugly, but the performance is off the hook. They really are one of the greatest cars in the world. I am more pissed off at BMW for screwing up the naming nomenclature for their cars. And I think that was, BMW has completely lost its way. They had a brand that was as good as 911 with the M3. This right here is an M3. This should be an M3.
Yes.
Why is this called an M4, you idiots?
Yeah, it has two doors, and why is this 4-door not the M4, the M4 door?
Right. I mean, just call an M3 an M3 and make it 2-door, 4-door, whatever configuration you want to be.
Yeah.
It's still the same chassis. It should be an M3, right?
They're the same size.
It's the same goddamn chassis. It's just one has 2 doors. Look, in the what was it, the E40, not the E92.
Yep.
There was a 2-door and a 4-door M3.
Yeah.
They just confused all their buyers. Now nobody knows what anything is when they walk into the showroom. Now it's like not only like what? Stop looking at me with those big gaping eyes. They're also like, I don't know what am I looking at, a 5 Series or a 6 Series or a 42 Series? It's just so confusing.
I'm pretty sure the designer got laid off.
Man. Right? It's, I think that, all right. So what's this car going to bring, Deeb? You're first. What do you think?
Yeah. The designer got laid off because he sure didn't get laid. That's for sure. All right, here we go. JP, our car doesn't close for another 3 days. It's currently sitting at $32,000. Our friends at classic.com tell us that a 2023 BMW M4 Coupe in the secondary market is a $70,000 conversation. Despite our car having very low miles at just 5,000 on the odometer, I still think the fact that it's plain, not a competition, certainly not a CSL, I think this car is going to just underperform a teeny bit. I just, even with the low odometer, I don't think this car is that special on this auction platform. I do think the more limited models would do really well here, but a standard one like this, I'm going to say, JP, I actually think this car could do just as well, if not better, on Doug DeMuro's site over there on Cars and Bids. So my bid here on BAT with these cell phone photos in the school parking lot is just $68,000. JP, I dare you to take the over on my bid.
Yeah, what's it at now? I'm sorry, I totally
it's at 32, but it's got 3 days to close. JP, on Wednesday, this car.
Well, so this is car, unlike the 918 that we were just talking about. Like 918, the end of the world could be happening, and the buyers for that car are still going to pay all the money. They don't care what's going on. Whereas this particular car, the buyer that's interested in this is way more susceptible to negative influence in the news. We saw a month ago when we saw the stock market, kind of pseudo crash. We saw 2,000 point drops in a single day, and we saw what that did to the auction results. It absolutely decimated the in-person auctions over there at Barrett-Jackson, and it definitely had an effect on BAT auctions as well. I think if things don't go crazy this week in the news, then this car should do really well because it's a 3-pedal car and it is a great car. And if it were a flappy pedal car, I wouldn't even bid 40 grand on this thing. But because it's 3 pedals, I think it has a chance. I'm going to go $49,004 and hand it off to Antoine, because I think that I think the news is going to be shaky this week, and I think that's going to affect a car like this. What do you think, Antoine?
So I think I'll be honest with you. It's rear wheel drive. Mm-hmm. It's manual. It's not particularly pretty or attractive in any type of way.
Diplomacy is off the hook with this one.
Well, as long as the back end of the car looks good, you're fine because it's fast enough that you can leave most people in the dust, right?
Car's got a nice ass.
That's where you're gonna get someone that's actually gonna buy it despite all of the other things. I'm a huge BMW fan. I probably have like 40 G series guys in my club, so I can't talk too much right now. But this is even with the low miles. I think that to be honest with you, I don't think that the manual market is as strong for these vehicles, and I also feel like the non-competition market is not very strong for these vehicles. And if you look, it's got the low grade rims that are all curbed. Yes, you got the red interior, which is cool. But really, the non-competition model, I think, kills this thing. I'd come in at like, I'm gonna go a little over you, JP, but I'm coming in at like 55 max.
Okay. Wow. What do you guys think of the possibility of bad news? Like, because for the record, I think it's worth more. If things are calm, if this were last week, I would definitely be in the 60 range. I'm just like really sensitive to the potential for bad news this week, and I'm not like it's not the sky is falling. I don't actually think World War III is going to start, but I think that there's going to be a lot of voices out there trying to hype things up and make people freaked out. And so I think that's going to be one of these things. Oh, but a lot of times too, we see like there's a delayed response. Everybody that will affect the auctions in a week or two, which sucks because I have a car coming up in a week or two. So,
so we're gonna hope not. For that.
Right? So yeah, I mean, for so many reasons, I don't want World War III to start. One of them is because I'm planning on selling a car in BAT. All right, what do you guys think? This BMW with a manual transmission, what do you think it'll bring? Let us know in the comments. Have you guys hit the subscribe, like, and notification button yet? You should be doing that if you haven't. If you are watching this show live with us and you haven't introduced yourself in the chat, get in there. Go say hello. You're going to immediately meet our Walmart greeter. Chris Carbine will be the first person to say hello to you. And you're going to meet some great people, great friends. We all tend to get together all over the country a few times a year. Every time there's a big car event, we all go. Like we were just in Idaho a couple of weeks ago for the Idaho Air and Coffee event. And Nerd Herd members came from all over the country. That was a great time. So definitely introduce yourself in the Nerd Herd. You're going to really be glad you did. All right, let's get to the next car. What do we got, Deep?
All right, JP, we selected for our amusement a deep dive on this 1977 Porsche 930 Turbo Carrera that is also on Bring a Trailer out of Webb City, Missouri, showing 21,000 miles from new. If you think the odometer is interesting, feast your eyes on the fact that this car was delivered in Talbot yellow paint with a dark brown leather upholstery. John, this car just ticks so many boxes. This is one of the early 930s that is the pre-intercooler. This is a 3-liter non-intercooler car. These are highly collectible because they just didn't make that many of them. They're the first of a breed that has spawned, dozens of models of turbos since. But this is the great granddaddy of them all. And this car has a low odometer. It's got a crazy period correct paint scheme. Something that I've never seen a yellow on brown Turbo Carrera that I can recall. Now, it's not to say they didn't make them, but I'm just saying they didn't make that many of them. This car looks outstanding. And as such, JP, I would guess that this car is comfortably a $200,000 car. So it begs the question, why did you run out and shoot this car in the middle of the daylight under some trees with your cell phone? This is a catastrophic failure to present what could be a potentially fight over worthy auction lot. And then my second complaint, JP, is that they left these horrible aftermarket floor mats that somehow match the brown leather upholstery inside the car during photography. Buddy, watch our podcast, read a book, go outside and talk to people. That's not how you do it. This car deserved more. And JP, I think this poor presentation is going to hold it back just a little bit. You don't want any friction on the road to the sale. You want smooth sailing. And this seller did not do themselves any favor. This person should have hired a professional. JP, can you think of anybody they could have hired?
Bid Nerds is now in the business of representing your car at auction. Check out bidnerds.biz if you don't want to deal with the hassle. Get the Bid Nerds to deal with a happy ending for every auction. Okay, this particular car, man, I mean, this is the early 930. This is the car that started it all. If you're a Gen Xer or, maybe a look, everybody had this car on their wall. If you were in a kid or you were in college when this car came out, everybody wanted this thing. This is the iconic car that started the craze for Porsche, the wide-body 911. And look, even if World War III starts this week, this is the sports car that you want for the apocalypse, because here's a little interesting information on these early 930s. They're the the K Jetronic. It has a CDI, but there's no computer in this thing. There's no little computer chips on this. So if an EMP blast hits, if a nuke goes off, right, this car will still work. You can just replace the battery. Like there's nothing to fry in this thing, right? So it's actually kind of the perfect bug out Porsche if you want to be like cruising around and be like Mad Max and Thunderdome in the apocalypse. This is way cooler than an old Mach 1 Mustang or whatever the heck he was driving around. Yeah, I love this car. A 930 is kind of near and dear to my heart. Most of you know, if you know me, you know that the 930, there's one in the future for me here. But I love this car. What do you think of the 930? Antoine, you're younger than us. Did you covet these when you were a kid?
I will tell you, millennials, we had this on our walls. For sure. I will say now with the research, what's the Japanese dude's name that does all the
RWB?
Yeah,
you're
RWB.
Thinking of Akaya-san.
Yes. So, and he was just out here not too long ago. Had
Always
some events
smoking cigarettes and signing shit.
He looks cool. He's a cool guy. Anyway, so I would say there's even been a resurgence of love and appreciation for this body type for people who are in their early 20s even now who are looking at that. So I love this car. I've got a buddy of mine who actually has, I don't think it's not this old, but it's a little bit newer, but he has one and it's yellow. Obviously I don't know the specific yellow, but chrome wheels, deep dish, like really clean. Dude barely brings it out of his garage because like, bro, if something happens to this car, I can never replace it. So, I mean, really, really beautiful vehicle. And shoot, I mean,
that's lame. He needs to drive it. These things are made for driving. Whoever had this car is lame too because they didn't drive it. This car deserves to be driven. But what will it bring, Michael D?
All right, JP, of course, our friends at classic.com, they tell us that the average selling price of one of the early Porsche 911 Turbo Carreras is $169,000. JP, I think that the car that is on this page has a retail value at or just above $200,000. Our car is currently sitting at $110,000 and has 3 days to go. But John, I'm not confident that this car will make it to that number because I think the presentation is poor. And if the news is not good this week, as you say, that could also hold it back. So rather than bid $200,000, JP, I'm going to take a much more conservative tack. My bid for this car is $177,930. And I will say one last time, you got to hire a professional photographer.
Yeah. What's it at right now?
It's at 110 with 3 days to go.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. This car should be, it should bring way more, but I'm gonna go even less than you. I'm gonna park it under you at 160, 930, and say that the other thing too about this car, aside from its poor presentation, I think just yellow. We talk about it pretty often. Yellow is just not strong on these. Porsche people love their crazy colors, but yellow just isn't one of them. And I think that's also going to hold it back. So, Antoine, what do you think this thing will bring?
Oh,
hey, you know what? Before Antoine, I just want to mention too, at my number, I don't think it sells. I think it fails to sell. I think the sell
at $160,930.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know the market much on these, to be honest with you. I would say if I picked one of these up for 148 grand, I'd be happy freaking camper. Yeah. I think I would feel all day that I've got a freaking awesome deal. And especially if the news comes out that it's a little wacky this week, I think that I would still feel comfortable paying every dollar of that.
That's a good number. It's a good way to look at it, too, because these are, whatever goes on in the news here, it will probably be a cycle, and then everybody will forget about it because, I don't know, a sex tape will be released of somebody. It's just like the news cycle is so fast and so crazy these days that no matter how crazy something is in the news, it just goes away and something else happens. It's like World War III or a celebrity's butt. It's about it's all like the same weight these days.
Terrible.
It's terrible, but it's the truth, right? So hopefully none of that affects any of this, and hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully this car does much better. Look, again, if things are calm this week, all this hype could be, this thing could do $200,000. And by the way, Antoine, do I have the car for you? Okay, we'll talk offline. All right, let's get to the next car on the list. Before we do, let us know what you think this 930 will bring in the comments. And do you think that World War III will affect the results of the auction? Let us know. What's the next car on the list? If we're all vaporized, it's really hard to hit the auction button. I will say that.
JP, let's do one more car, and then if we have just a minute, I'd like to do a sneak peek of my Targa that is live.
Oh, sweet. Okay,
yeah. All right, JP, we are going to take a quick peek at, on Bring a Trailer, this 1992 Mercedes-Benz 350 GD short wheelbase. So Geländewagen, what is the D? Diesel? Geländewagen diesel short wheelbase?
This is a turbo diesel baby G.
Yeah. So 350. So a baby D two-door. The big news here, JP, is that you selected a car with an automatic transmission, which almost made me fall out of my chair. John, our car is showing 135,000 kilometers from new. That's just 84,000 miles. The reason why it's in kilometers is because they never brought this particular model to the United States as new. As a 1992, I imagine this car was likely imported on the federal 25-year exemption, and they brought several of these cars were coming stateside, and they are really do well in the secondary market. We do tend to see more often than not that they have a manual, but there is a market for the automatics. It's just a little bit less money. Our car looks to be in very good condition considering the odometer, and is listed on BaT out of Santa Fe, New Mexico. JP, it was imported to the U.S. from France in 2018 and purchased later by the seller on BaT later that same year. So this car has already traded hands a couple of times. I love the colorway. I love the stubby size of these vehicles. I don't mind the turbo diesel, but God, you got to make mine a manual, which is considerably more money. But JP, what do you like about this? Why'd you pick this one for us?
Well, I mean, we're talking about World War III, and this is a great bug-out rig right here, right? I mean, can you think of anything better?
Walk into that one.
I know that you like the manual better, and so do I generally, but they don't make a turbo diesel with the manual. It's going to be just a regular diesel. So the manual versions of these can barely go 45 miles an hour. If you've got a hill, you're probably going to have to get out and push. So the automatic version of this, look, you disconnect this from the battery, right? Because that's the thing. And if a nuke goes off somewhere, let's say a nuke goes off, I don't know, in Denver, right? And we're here in Las Vegas. If a nuke goes off, we're going to get affected by an EMP. Anything with a battery in it will not work. Your cell phone, your radio, anything that's connected to a battery will be fried, right? So whereas this particular rig, as long as it's not connected to the battery, and even if it is, you might burn out the lights or something like that, but it'll start up. This thing will go, and it's a turbo diesel. In the apocalypse, diesel is much more easy to get than gasoline, and you can make it with old French fries. What do you think of this car, Antoine? Is it the perfect apocalypse vehicle or what?
I'll tell you what, when you first popped it up there, we got a lot of golf courses around here. And I'm pretty sure one of the guys out here definitely has this car inside of his little golf cart buggy.
Right.
This thing is really cool, though. The first thing I'll say is that's not US spec, and
no, it's not.
But really cool car. I think the short wheelbase on these things and just the overall, like the size attractiveness, like in city driving, etc. Like these things probably. I wouldn't be surprised if I see a couple around New York City or some of these bigger cities where you actually have like, an hour and then you can get to go out and into the woods and do what you want to do with them. But really cool overall, super like nostalgic is kind of like how I feel about them. But really, if the end of the world's coming, man, I mean, hey.
Hey,
Shack up and let's
This
roll.
is it. Let's do it. I'm picking you guys up. My Macan ain't going anywhere. All right. What's it going to bring, Deep? Let's get to it quick so that we can cover your Targa real quick.
All right, JP, according to our friends at classic.com, who have a column for the GD, the 350 GD, they say the average selling price in the secondary market is $46,000, but that also includes ones where the top comes off. This one is a fixed roof version, and JP, those ones where the top comes off are worth a lot more money. So that number is skewed by those other models. JP, I put $35,000, but man, our car is not doing well. It's currently sitting at just $12,750 on 5 bids, but it's got 3 days to go. So I'm not going to change my bid, but I feel like I'm high as I look at this one. I put 35. But gosh, JP, it's got to get to 30 first, and man, this doesn't look like it's a given here, right now. So 35 to you, JP, but I'm not confident in my bid. Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm gonna go $29,999 and hand it off to Antoine. What do you think?
I'm going 25.
25.
Yeah,
that's not bad. Do you think it sells at 25, Antoine?
I think it sells at 25.
Okay. I mean, that'd be a hell of a buy. That's a hell of a rig for 25 grand. I mean, the 4-door ones with similar miles, but all the 4-door ones in America are, they're 5-liter engines. So those are usually in the 30 to 40 range. Doesn't seem to matter how many miles are on them. If they're in good shape, they're going to bring between 30 and 40 grand. These baby G's, Deeb is right. The convertibles, the hip hop kids love those. Those bring a lot of money, but the hardtops just not as much as tin tops. All right, let's move on. What do you guys think? And Deep, you wanted to talk about this Targa. I didn't. Yeah, you didn't send a link. Is there a link somewhere?
First listing on Wednesday's show is my Targa. Take a quick look. Right now on Bring a Trailer, folks, is a 1979 Porsche 911 SC Targa. This car is with its third owner at the moment. He's had the car since 2007. JP, the guy, is a German guy who lives in the South Bay, and he knows the owner. He knows this car's ownership history from new. The 2 previous owners are all in the Bay Area. So this 79 SC Targa is all original. The only thing that has been altered is that the driver's door was repainted under previous ownership. They have, I think, an Alpine head unit and a wooden shift knob. And the original Blaupunk is included in the sale. You just got to throw it back in the dash. So, JP, as a preservation award winner, this car, you literally could take it to a concours and compete because it is an absolute time capsule, showing just 66,000 miles from new. It is Grand Prix white over lobster red, full leather interior. JP, we took the car to the pit stop to Rothy's place, and we threw it up on a lift just so I could see underneath it. And when I was under the car and I looked behind the front lower valance and behind the rear lower valance, the car was still perfectly white. You could wipe your finger and there was no dirt or dust to pull up. This car is expertly clean. It's been clearly garaged its entire life. And while not necessarily like the sportiest of the 911s, this is really about as good as it gets as far as a car that has just been kept almost to the way it was delivered brand new back in 1979. So JP, our auction has a few days to go. We're going to close on Thursday. We'll take a deep dive on this car on Wednesday's show. But I just wanted to ask the herd, if you find yourself with a little bit of free time, jump over and take a look at it. Maybe follow it if you want, watch it, and throw out a comment, and we'll answer your questions. It would be great to have you take a little peek at our lobster interior car and get a little engagement for our client. That'd be great. Thanks to the herd for checking it out. What do you think, JP? You know these cars better than I do.
Yeah, I love it. We'll definitely talk about it more on the next episode. I just do want to say, Antoine, this would be the perfect match to your new Macan.
Yes.
These two would look very good in the garage together. All right, everybody. That is the end of the episode. Again, if you're thinking about listing one of your own cars on one of the auction sites but don't want to deal with it, give the Bid Nerds a call, bidnerds.biz, a happy ending for every auction. Antoine, thank you for hanging out. Where can we find you on the socials and all the places?
Sure. Driven Ant, DRVN Ant, as in Antoine. Also, Driven Social Club, which highlights our really awesome event space out here, and Clubhouse, if you will. And there's probably like 5 or 6 others, but start with those 2 to start, and we'll see you on the other channel.
We'll go down the rabbit hole there. All right, Antoine. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks
Dana,
for having
thanks
me
for
on.
being
Really
here.
appreciate you
Thanks,
guys.
Dana. Thank you, Dana, for being a good sport and sharing him with us for the last hour.
Yes,
All right, guys.
selling your Macan.
And just for real, let's hope for peace, guys. We will see you Wednesday night. Good night.